Well, here it is. This is the rough, and I do mean very rough, temperature controller for my soldering pot. The thermocouple, I have a bracket which I'm probably not going to modify much differently than is there, other than to make it stable. You can see the lead is still melting, so the thermocouple is not all the way down in the pot yet. I have the PLC controller that I programmed to turn the temperature off at 800 degrees and come back on at 775 degrees. That could always be modified. You can see it's continuing to climb as the solder in the pot is getting hotter. And you can also see that the pot rheostat is 100% wide open, so it's cooking as hard and as fast as it can. Then there's just some basic wiring stuff which I'm going to put inside the job box. I'll cut a hole for this in the plate of the job box so it can be reprogrammed, and all the wires are hidden. And that's the electronic relay that carries the load to the soldering pot. What should happen here is that should hit 800 degrees. When it does, I'm gonna the solder should be melted relatively soon. I'm gonna put on my heavy gloves and set the probe and lock it down with that little set screw. And once I have that in place, this should come up to 800 degrees and shut the pot off. So we'll see what happens in a few minutes. Okay, so the lead, as you can see on the surface, it's not all completely melted yet, but it's getting there. I was able to move the probe down so that it's pretty much towards the bottom of the solder pot, and the temperature of the lead is now up to 632 degrees. I'm not going to leave the camera on all the way up to 800, but when it gets starts getting close to 8, I'll turn it back on and we'll see if the pot shuts off, which should be indicated by that green light on the left hand side. Should indicate that the pot is off. And also, I believe this red light on the solid state relay will go off when the probe reaches a temperature. Okay, well, we're getting close. As you can see, hopefully the temperature is now 762 degrees. The lead is mostly melted, and I've added my thermometer here, the analog thermometer, to see how accurate the two readings are. I believe the analog thermometer reads 50 degrees higher based on my other thermometers, but we'll see what happens when it shuts off. Right now it's about 778 on the digital controller, and this is reading around 800, so I'm probably going to want to adjust that digital controller down a little bit, because I like the analog to be at around 800, so I want this to probably be about 770. When it gets up to 800 degrees, something should happen. Hopefully not a loud bang. We hit 800 degrees. The green light on the left went off. The temperature is going to continue to climb for a while. Also, the red light on the solid state relay went off. Now, when the temperature drops by 20 more degrees, by 20 degrees, the relay will turn back on, and the pot should start heating again. To expedite that, I'm going to take this fan here and blow it onto the solder pot to help cool it down. So right now I'm actually phasing through a second cycle because I screwed up the downward cycle to capture on video, but you can see hopefully that the temperature is now 790 degrees. This light is on, this light is on. When it reaches 800, both those lights should turn off, and the temperature should start cooling. Now, there's going to be a certain amount of rise of heat dissipation from the heating coils once they turn off, I'm not quite sure how far that's going to go. See, we hit 800 degrees, both lights are off. The heating elements in the pot are now turned off, and the pot should start to cool. To expedite that, again, I'm going to put the fan on and stop the video when it gets close to 775 degrees. We'll then see if the pot will turn back on. Okay, so I hope the fan noise isn't too loud, but as you can see, the temp is down to 777. It should turn on any second. Oop, there it is, 775. The heating elements turn back on. On my pot, that's right a little bit below 800 on my thermostat. So I think there's a little bit of calibration needed, but it's there. All the components are working. I'm glad to see that the pot doesn't fly too far past 800 degrees when the elements do turn off with the residual heat. So next step is to take all of this, put it inside a job box, mount it on the wall there, one for each pot, so I have individual temperature control for each soldering pot.